Good morning. Thank you for joining me for another 5 good minutes with the Word. I'm Barry Bryson, and we're continuing our study of the book of Amos as we conclude our study of the writing prophets to the northern kingdom. We are going to be reading about the prophecy against Moab today from chapter 2. He's been crossing the map, crisscrossing, condemning all the nations surrounding the northern kingdom of Israel. And he talked about the ones they weren't related to, the ones they are related to, and then Judah, their brother nation, next time. Today, against the Moabites. Moabites are a special case. We know so much about the Moabites because of the Moabite stone, the Mesha stone, that is in the British Museum, which recounts an episode that happened in 2 Kings chapter 3 that the Bible reports. It is Mesha's version of events that we read about in 2 Kings chapter 3. Of course, we know that the Moabites are from Lot. They inhabit the Transjordan, the eastern side of the Jordan River, and they are in the south, whereas the Ammonites are basically directly across the Jordan River from Israel. The Moabites are directly across the Jordan River from Judah and then to the south. Um, um, there's a very important Moabite in biblical history, and of course, that is Ruth, the Moabitess, who is in the lineage, the direct lineage of David and of Jesus, and mentioned by name in Matthew chapter 1. It is the area that Reuben was supposed to have occupied, and seems to never have really occupied. Um, the Moabites were often at war with Israel. Again, David conquered and dominated that area. But by the time of the divided kingdom, of course, they have self determination. Again, their capital city is Kirioth, which is mentioned in our text today. And I just want to mention what happened in 2 Kings chapter 3. In 2 Kings chapter 3, um, Judah and Israel, northern and southern kingdom, joined forces to go against the Moabites and really to try to reconquer Moab um, for the two of them in some way. And they're successful. And they fight all the way to the walls of the city of Kirioth. But while they're there, King Mesha, in order to call out to their god's name was Chemosh. And they seem to be, the Moabites, monotheists. They had one god, Chemosh, whom they saw in conflict with Yahweh. And he sacrifices his son on the wall. And it was so shocking to see this human sacrifice that Kings tells us that the armies of Israel and Judah went home. But the way Misha saw it, Chemosh won a great victory against Yahweh. And that's what he writes about on the Moabite stone, on the Mesha stone. You can look the text of that up on the internet and read it. It's really interesting and it's really creepy. And it's him crowing about the victory of Chemosh over Yahweh. And he mentions Yahweh by name. Let's read the prophecy against the Moabites. Thus says the Lord, for 3 transgressions of Moab and for 4, I will not revoke its punishment, because he burnt bones of the king of Edom to lime. So I will send fire upon Moab, and it will consume the citadels of Kirioth. And Moab will die amid tumult, with war cries and the sound of a trumpet. I will also cut off judgment from her midst, and slay all her princes with him, says the Lord. So the princes of Moab are going to be killed, and the judges of Moab, the king and princes of Ammon are going into exile. I didn't mention last time we were together that this happened in 732 BC, 10 years before the northern kingdom is carried into captivity. The Assyrians take the Transjordan and they carry those peoples away into Assyrian captivity. It's interesting to note that their war crime is against Edom. So these war crimes, it's not just that they have committed crimes against the Jewish people. It's that they committed these war crimes at all. It's always wrong to do violence to pregnant women. It's always wrong to harvest entire populations and to sell them as slaves. And it's always wrong to desecrate the dead for the point of humiliating another people, even if they are the Edomites and a bunch of slave traders and hateful people. Um, there is a level of hate and of humiliation and of aggression that is involved in digging up the bones of a king and burning them for lime and then scattering them that lime on your fields. There is just something about the way you rub somebody's nose in it that God says that is just. I'm not going to order that. I'm not going to put up with that. I'm going to punish you for those war crimes. Now, in every one of these instances, God says for 3 and for 4, but he doesn't mention everything. I'm sure the list is a mile long, but he mentions something specific, something in the news that they would have remembered from their recent history. And he's saying, you did this, and it represents all the other things. Okay, we're going to pick up with Judah next time, and and we're kind of moving into new territory now because we're talking about God's chosen people, His covenant people, and we'll see what they have to say about Judah next time. Thank you for joining me for another 5 good minutes with the Word.